and welcome, I'm Tuppence. I've just unpacked an order from Temu of these hexagonal glitters. There's an opalescent one, a blue one, quite a few pinks and reds and oranges, really nice colours, and a couple of golds. And I'll leave a link in the description box for this if I can find it. But in the process of unpacking it, there was a lot of glitter that escaped from them. And you can see it is all over my mat. And I've already cleaned it up once. I took a piece of masking tape and just dragged that across the surface to collect all of the glitter. And when I did that and turned it over, it looked really pretty. Too pretty to just chuck away in the bin. And I didn't want to waste it. So I'm going to show you what I did with it and what I managed to make from it. Now this is the original piece, and you can see that there are spaces where there isn't any glitter. And I'm going to show you how I did that and what I got. I took some J. Diction high viscosity UV resin and I laid down a bubble or just a blob basically. There's no particular shape that I'm going for. I'm just trying to cover up the glitter parts that I like. And then I used my UV lamp to cure it. Once that was done, I could peel it off of the tape and it brought the glitter with it. Now this is pretty on its own, but I backed it or domed it with some more UV resin. And I made sure that I spread that to the edges using my stick. And then I cured that. And I was left with these pebbles or worry stones. They are a little sharp around the edges because there is some protruding glitter. But I'm going to pick up a little bit of UV resin that I've put into a pot on my stick, and I'm going to cure that stick in place. Now, you've seen Daniel Cooper do this, I'm sure. If you haven't, go check out his channel. I've set the stick in the place that I'm going to be affixing the bail, so I can drill this area later on. Once that's set, that gives me some way of dipping the resin. So this is just UV resin and I've put it in this pot temporarily. I can pour it back into my bottle afterwards, but if you've got a black pot, then you can always set some aside for dipping purposes only. So I've dipped that in, made sure it's all covered, and now I'm holding it over the pot until it stops dripping. And I need to be patient and make sure that there are no more drips. So that took a little while, but once it was done, keeping this stick twirling around, I'm going to expose this to the UV lamp again. Okay, I want to show you what happens if you don't twirl it around enough or make sure all the drips have come off. I've got a slightly bowed bit at the bottom. I actually don't mind because this is meant to be a pebble anyway. So now I'm going to twist my stick and I'll twist it in both directions, and that should be able to pull it away from the resin. And you can see I've got a little channel. I just managed to pull that off. I can sand that down or just use some scissors to trim off anything that's excess. Then I can drill a hole and it will be covered by the bail when I fix that anyway. Okay, so those have been dipped and the edges are all nicely rounded. And now I need to drill the holes. So here's where the mark is. I've tried to keep them all roughly to the top and on the side. So I've got my Dremel and I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole. So I've just got this onto a piece of scrap cardboard so that I can go all the way through. So I will mute the sound because it's going to be pretty horrible. And here we go. So you've got this beautiful pendant that you know, would have been basically throwing stuff away. Okay, so I've done a clean up again and I've used some packing tape, and now I'm going to put some resin on the top. I want to make this one a decent size. Just give that a chance to sit for a minute. Now I can see a couple of areas where the glitter is outside. I think I'm going to just move that to encapsulate that one. and that one, and bring it round. I'm not going to catch all of them, so I'll be able to snip off anything that is sticking out too far, but I think that will do. Okay, I'm good with that, and now I'm going to cure that. Okay, that's cured now. It has cured a little bit wavy, but that's fine. And peel that off. Okay, I managed to pull a little bit of the tape off as well. So now I've got a few little extra pieces hanging off. I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and I'm going to cut those off so that they are level with the outside of the resin. A little bit there. I think that looks pretty good. Right, I'm good with that. Let's move that out of the way. Zoom in a little bit. Okay, I printed some pieces using my laser printer, and I've done them on some inkjet. No, it's not inkjet. I've done them on some acetate. So this one is a little big. I'm going to cut some of this area off at the bottom. Try and get it as close to the image as possible. So I've just printed it on the transparency. You could use an inkjet printer, but I would cover it with a vinyl sticky paper, a clear vinyl sticker paper if you're going to print on an inkjet printer. So I'm going to pop that in there, and now I can use this to go over the top and seal it in. I'm almost out of resin here, so just going to put a blob on there, and then I'll use my stick to guide that out to the edges. Try and seal that in there completely. I should have put a little bit of resin down first and then laid the acetate on top, and that way it would stop moving around. But I'm just going to add enough resin to coat over it and around all of the outsides, and that should still be enough to seal it in. I'm just going to move that bubble off to the side, and I can always do a couple of layers if I've got any need to add some more on top of there, but that looks okay. So now I'll cure that. Okay, that's done. So you can leave it like that if you want to, or you can flip it back over and paint the back either with some more UV resin or nail varnish gel, or even acrylic paint. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of the paint on my sponge and sponge that onto the back. And then I'll need to, I'm going to need to let that dry, but you'll get the effect. Okay, while that is drying, I've got a little bit more, so I'm going to make another one. Okay, and I'll try and get this into a bit more of a shape that I want. I'm still not looking for a perfect oval, I want a more organic shape. Pop that bubble if I can. Got it. Okay, I'm going to go with that, and I will cure that. That's done. Peel that off. Snip off the edges. Nothing too bad, really. Okay. So I'm going to pop that down on the table again, and I've also done, oh, I can't pick it up, hang on a second, a letter. So I'm going to place that on there. So let me grab a little bit of resin. Get some tweezers and try and pick this up. And then I can place it where I want it to go. And add some more resin on the top. Spread that out. Don't want to do too thick of a coat because you can dome it a couple of times to get it the way you want it. And just make sure that it goes to the edges and try and just get that letter to sit the way that I want it to. Again, I'm going to fix the stick at the top. That's where I'll be drilling a hole for the bail. And once that's fixed, I can dip that into the resin, make sure that it's all coated, and wait for it to stop dripping. Then I'll be able to place it underneath my lamp, making sure that I keep turning it so that I don't get any of the resin accumulating in a lump. I dipped it a couple of times, then I removed the stick. After snipping the top off, I could drill the hole and make it into a necklace. You don't have to drill them and turn them into pendants. You can always use a file, nail file or sanding paper just to remove the part where you fix the stick. And once that's nice and smooth, you can use a little bit of UV resin to restore the shine. I love that I've managed to create something so pretty out of something that I would have thrown away. I managed to do a clean up and be creative at the same time. If you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, comment, share and subscribe if you haven't. You'll be able to see what I make next time. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and goodbye.